Hello, and welcome back to Method News, where we talk about science-based manifestation methods and concepts. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're into this topic. Let's get started. Today, we are talking about social conditioning and auditing your conditioning for manifestation success. So, what is cultural conditioning? What is social conditioning? Our earliest programs are often the most ingrained, but they can change. And the reason this is there is a period of time during childhood development in which everything seems reasonable. It's also like you can see it in other mammals too. Like there's this period of time where everything is just open. We're just completely open to new ideas. We're completely susceptible. And this is survival conditioning right here. This is a survival script so that we can mimic the other people around us the most effectively to survive within our particular system, to maintain our social connections, to maintain opportunities. Because if you don't fit into that social system, more often than not, it will either try to eject you or attack you, right? Because the system itself doesn't understand that it's a system. The human system doesn't see itself. It only sees itself from its individual parts, and occasionally from a greater view if some other external enemy comes, calling. And most people don't stray far from their original identities. They don't. It's very uncomfortable for the brain, the body, the nervous system, because consistency, consistency of feedback also from external systems is a feeling of safety, and it saves energy, and it gives everybody common priorities, common protocol from which to work with. So even if internally the systems don't exactly align, externally they appear to in ways that are functional, if that makes sense. And we need co-regulation for stability. When we're babies, we can't self-regulate. Like our systems don't know how to. They don't know how to process the emotions that we feel. The nervous system doesn't know how to calm down. That's why babies need a caretaker to hold them and cuddle them and make them feel safe so that they can learn how to mirror that nervous system. That's one of our earliest programs. Whatever our caregiver, our main caregivers, whoever held us the most, that was our main nervous system baseline. We also took on their identities, their predictive processing protocols. Babies think that they are their caregiver. They don't have any concept yet for their own protocol because they haven't built one yet. So they have to model what they see. Our mirror neurons allow us to mimic each other in really extraordinary ways sometimes. Like sometimes I'll see certain sections of people mimic each other and they've never encountered one another. It's almost like watching, separate parts of neurons in the brain, certain clusters fire at the exact same time, but they've never, they're not even close to one another. And it happens in all different systems at all different levels that, it's usually the path of least resistance in emergent properties and depending on the environment also and how people decide to approach cultural conditioning. Obviously, we're divided into genders based on our bodies, but we also identify based on other bodies. This is dog identity. This is cat identity. Project those other identities onto other living biological systems to try to make sense of it, right? And these relationship reflections where we see people through the lens of our own predictive system and project those unconscious presets onto them. And I see this all the time with people and this is not to be mean to people. I don't even think they notice that they're doing it. Sometimes I piss them off because I'm not doing anything in particular except just being truth myself in a heavy state of let me see the truth of this. And then they will notice it and they'll pause and they'll get mad because their system making them uncomfortable, right? They're like, no, I believed this and I was absolutely sure. And now this new information has been presented, or this person isn't reacting the way that I expect them to. And now I have to reflect back on myself and decide, is my system going the way that I want? And because the brain and body want automation so badly, unless something is desirable novelty, it'll usually resist it. Unless, it's something that is aligned with what already exists in the system and can be sort of added on without any problems, without any inconsistencies, without having to rewrite neural pathway structures, because the brain wants to see that you have a very good reason for changing your programs, right? Your social conditioning and your programs, it wants to know that you got a good reason for this. So most of the time, we're going to go along with what society wants. And this is everybody, because we are a part of society. And even the people that you see that are homeless or they're not really operating within the typical bounds of what we think our society would be doing, they are operating within it. They are part of the system. They're serving a certain aspect of it. Is this consciously done? No, it's just emerging. It becomes part of the system. In some cases, the system is very imbalanced, and that's when we get a lot of chaos. The systems that become the most cohesive with every individual part are the ones that grow the fastest. Those are the civilizations that last the longest, that expand the most. And honestly, I'd say the fall of Rome was because they didn't bring on equality. Most of their people were slaves, you know? So when you get in a situation like that, where the top level don't have to do anything, they don't have to learn and grow, they don't care anymore. They just stop caring. They even stop reproducing. It's crazy. You have to have individual freedom and social, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's say social trends that cohere. Social values and priorities. Yeah. So you need to have the social values and priorities consistent together, right? As far as how we treat each other, because that projects safety and consistency. But you also need to have everybody having the individual freedom to pursue that in the ways that they feel good about, as long as it's not impugning on another system, right? A lot of systems mistakenly think that they're being injured or harmed by another system simply doing what it's doing. And we see this a lot in foreign conflicts, right? So in some cases, the system is, breaking down other systems and even part of it and damaging them and ruining situations. This is where we see human rights violations, right? But in some cases, the system is just operating under a different ideological system, which is not truly a threat to you, but your brain perceives it as such. They think if this person thinks the universe is different, I have to go prove to them that it's not so I can prove it to me, right? That's really what it is. It's reinforcing external validation. This is exactly what external validation is. Your system trying to prove with evidence and reassure itself that what you believe is consistent and true in evidence. But a lot of these things are so abstract, it don't matter. You can look at the same evidence and interpret it differently, right? And it's not a threat to your system if somebody else thinks differently. You can still reinforce yourself. This is self-regulation. This is self-validation. Trying to go force someone else to think how you think is being the aggressor. It is being predatory of that system. Okay? And I know that's going to be uncomfortable for a lot of people to know and understand, or even maybe you just won't accept it. That's okay. But even for me to accept it, I have to notice if I'm trying to be predatory of another system, if I'm trying to use or change or manipulate or possibly even damage that system to make it validate my inner experience. This is a very big trap in manifestation. It's a dangerous trap too, because it can make you a bully. It can make you an aggressor. It can make you do stupid things, you know? And I say make you, but it's more like the system automates you for dumb shit and you just go along with it because you don't know how to stop it. You don't know how to, you don't know where the break is, basically. You can stop yourself, but you have to know where the break is once you go into fight or flight. And you got to know it beforehand, because once your amygdala gets hijacked, you're just going to react. You can't even really rationalize yourself out of that. Your survival system is done. And if you think that this is life or death, your system will decide. Your system will decide exactly what that means and take action. Does it mean freeze? Does it mean fight? Does it mean run? Does it mean fawn? You know? Now your system decides that unconsciously before you even really know what's going on. But if you set the presets beforehand for setting social boundaries, then you can kind of rely on your system to handle things as they come up. So if something triggers your nervous system into survival, right? It's not immediately going to go off in this reactive rant and start screaming at people or run away or hide in coma. I don't know. Whatever it is that your system felt was like the safest possible thing to do, then that's what it will do. And it won't consult with you. Like, you can even try to stop yourself. I've seen this like real time in myself. Like, you can try to stop it. You can even try to talk yourself down, and usually your system will do whatever it planned to do anyway. And you're like, really? You're serious? You know? But then you just deal with the fallout and you deal with the reprogramming. You don't shame yourself for not being able to hold a wild horse, okay? It's bigger than you, a lot bigger. Your central nervous system is much bigger than your conscious mind when it comes to dominance of decisions. Most of the decisions you have came from your unconscious before you even knew they were formed. This is shown in many brain studies, many brain scans, okay? So understanding that reflex, especially when you're in triggered state, when your emotions are high, you're feeling intense about it, understanding that creating the social boundary between your external and internal validations is important for you as well as other people. It is important to define where that boundary is and understand it's okay for other systems to do what they're doing, as long as they're not trying to come at you, you know? It's okay for you to be in your space and them to be in their space. And that way you can learn more and you can learn to expand it. You can learn about your preferences, right? You can understand more about what makes your system sing. So you can really manifest some bullshit, right? Some experiences that go beyond what you even expected could be possible. Believe me, it's amazing sometimes. And there can always be the downfall of when you make these changes, that sometimes your system will go through a rough period where it tries really hard to reinforce that old program, and it can create some icky manifestations briefly. It depends on how you respond to them when you see them come into your reality. So like if you're trying to update your reality to have a car and you don't have a car, or you haven't had a car for a while, or you've never had a car, right? And you finally get this car, or maybe it's on the horizon, like you're almost there, right? Your brain might just completely resist the idea of having a car. It's like, this will be dangerous. People drive crazy. All of this stuff is going to go bad. It's not going to be safe enough, you see? And you really, really, want the experience of having a car, but you got to make your system feel safe in it. So one of the ways to do this is safety is familiarity. If I did this a lot and I didn't die, this is good, right? As long as it's making me feel good and it's giving me rewards, or it's getting me to some other kind of benefit, and I'm not, getting hurt and something bad isn't happening to me, then familiarity breeds safety. So to make things familiar, a good way to start is morning and night. In the morning, your brain is switching brain states, right? So it's switching from like beta, alpha, you know, it's moving brain states from sleep to wakefulness. So this is the time to really be visualizing active aspects of the manifestation you want to have. Enjoying driving while listening to music, driving while going places that you've always wanted to see. These are some visualizations that can make driving feel safe, rewarding, expansive, feeling grateful that cars exist, that the kind of car that you want exists, right? So these are very active manifestation or affirmations you can do it in the morning. And this is where your day is like getting started. So it starts becoming part of your identity, part of your system, part of familiarity. And then at night, you want to feel restful and rejuvenated by having a car. A car will save me energy. It will save me time. It will give me peace in these ways. It will allow me to get to the things that I want easier. It will allow me to drive people if I want to drive them, to take things from place to place. You want to feel like that ultimate rest in whatever the manifestation is, right? And this is why a lot of the times, though, let's say when you're imagining it as if, imagine your day, a day in your life with your manifestation, right? But I think morning and night are just more efficient, because during the day you're mostly running your automation, and it's really morning and night that your brain, because it's shifting brainwave states, that it's more susceptible to being reprogrammed. Although don't say that you can't do it all day long, because if you can, perfect the pause and pit stop yourself all day long and do a little reality check, Yep, this is me. This is my new identity. Nope, that's the old program. That speed things up too. That was the deepest times are morning and night, just based on how your system operates. And it's important not to let co-regulation become codependence with other people, especially if you're like manifesting a significant other, or a marriage or whatever it is, or maybe you're manifesting children and you imagine these people like making your life more fulfilling, right? You are the cake. Okay? You're the cake and the icing. Everything else is sprinkles. You don't even necessarily need sprinkles, right? But it makes it more fun and more interesting, and it gives more atmosphere to the experience. But feeling like you need someone is it decreases your value of yourself, of just you being with you and valuing and loving you and enjoying your own company and being at peace with who you are, because that is what will extend into every other experience and how you interpret it. These other systems are wonderful. They're not more wonderful than yours. Okay. Another person is not better than you, and you are not better than them. Your systems evolved to fulfill different storylines of the greater whole, to fulfill different parts, to fulfill different context. Because without what you perceive to be bad and what you perceive to be good, there's no context for anything. There's no context for understanding what we want or don't want, or how to get to the next point of the story in a way that feels fulfilling and validating and expansive, right? So I hope this helped you to understand a little bit more about social conditioning, and emotional contagion also is really important to understand, because we naturally mimic each other's nervous systems, just like I was talking about with the baby, earlier. And when we're babies, we need someone else to co-regulate with. Well, we always do that with other people. And if somebody is constantly dysregulated and constantly setting us off, they're going to, not purposefully necessary, but because they're always being activated, we're always going to be activated by their activation, right? So it needs to be addressed in some way. Sometimes it means removing yourself from that system's vicinity. Sometimes it means reworking how you work with that system. Sometimes it means making some compromises with that system. And it depends on how well that system can align with yours and become coherent. So you'll adapt to the baseline of not only yourself and your own habits, but the greater habits of society and whatever you interact with socially. And the great thing now is how cool it is that we have algorithms that we can train to filter our media reality, at least, or our social media, by choosing not to watch certain things, by choosing not to engage with certain systems that are triggering or that are ruining, or not ruining, that are lowering our dopamine baseline, that are activating our nervous system more often. I'm going to try not to see things in black and white, bad and good, but what is effective? What is optimized? What is moving you towards the story points that you want, right? What automations in yourself can you create with other systems to make the whole thing feel good? And sometimes you just got to get a little creative. Maybe you have a system, another person. I keep saying systems, but that is what we are. And that's why I talk about it in that way, because we confuse system and people because the word shrinks the concept down. So if we know someone named Nick, we have this protocol for Nick, right? We have this identity, external identity, but it's also an internal avatar based on our identity of Nick. So how we react to Nick is how Nick reacts to us, right? Nick is expecting our reactions to matches because we've established a baseline automation with Nick's system if we're interacting with him on a regular basis. And even if we're not, even if Nick is new, our society has either created or our society and our families have created a protocol of, politeness, of how to interact with system unknown Nick, right? Planet unknown. We don't know what's going on this planet. We can only tell from the outside, but we also see those micro expressions. We smell pheromones. We have a lot of signals from our body that we're not consciously aware of about other people. And these are very important things, including emotions. So when you get a gut feeling about someone, don't ignore that. That is literally your gut producing hormones, sending those hormones to your brain to say, hey, this is sus. We got to do something about this. Pay attention. Pay attention. Survival. Pay attention. Right? So, yeah, when you're considering your social conditioning, also always give yourself some compassion and other people the compassion that you didn't choose your early programming. This is just the baseline that you started with, the baseline character that you got to work with. And it's wonderful. The system is always very adapted and always, willing to open up if you understand how to reprogram it. If you understand how to make it feel safe and secure and validated, it will move through into any identity that you want it to almost. As long as, it's reasonably able to. I probably can't build the identity of being a super giant sun. I don't really have context. Like, that would be pretty difficult, but I can try to imagine what it would be like to be a super giant sun, right? So in some contexts, you're a little bit limited, but as far as what you can have and who you can be in a general everyday human sense, not a lot. You just got to be patient and compassionate and understanding when working with your system and other systems and when making them coherent. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and sign up for the Method Muse newsletter in the description below.